Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the only show of its kind, the hottest show for all of your wrestling news, rumors, things you want to hear about. This is the program. As always, I am H. Knox, and this is my tag team partner in crime, Mike Manhattan. Mike, why don't you lead us off with our top story?
Well, this week on the program, we're going to talk about who's hot and who's not. We're going to do a Survivor Series preview. We're going to discuss Bobby Lashley and his contemplating leaving pro wrestling once again. But yeah, we'll talk about our top story. Hulk Hogan and his role that he's taken with Total Nonstop Action. He's gone on record this week as saying that he wants to go after a Monday night time slot, and he wants to take it as far as creating a WCW-like Monday Night War scenario. He's presented his wish list for signing superstars such as Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rob Van Dam, the Macho Man, and the Nasty Boys. We know that Eric Bischoff has already announced his involvement with Total Nonstop Action. Now, last week we discussed the odds of how we felt TNA had about going up against the WWE in the future, and if they could legitimately compete. We both pretty much shut down the notion, but with these new developments, how do we feel? Has anything changed?
Yeah, if you can get any worse than 0%, I think that they've inched a little closer towards the negative percentile.
Really?
This is a situation where they're taking TNA wrestling, which to me has always been about young, up-and-coming performers, fast-paced wrestling, different style of wrestling, fast action, and they're now kind of creeping away from that, just like WCW did when they were much focused on, luchadors and fast-paced action. They're sort of having all of that take a backseat to these older guys who are kind of going to come in and try and run things, be the champions, be in the main events, take control of the program. That's great if you want the average fan flipping through the channels and say, oh man, that's Macho Man, that's Brian Saggs of the Nasty Boys. Maybe that will catch their eye for 4 or 5 minutes, but as far as keeping fans happy for a long period of time. I mean, old fans like myself and you, as well as new fans of TNA wrestling who like this, fans of wrestling who like this fast-paced action, I don't think are going to be too impressed with these older guys coming in, especially guys like the Nasty Boys.
I see what you're saying. No one wants to see a wheelchair versus a walker match. But, H, if they get Stone Cold Steve Austin and they put the belt on his shoulder and they put Eric Bischoff, who you and I both love and respect, on the program as a heel, and they create almost like a Vince McMahon Stone Cold Steve, people are going to tune in to watch that.
I'm going to tune in to watch it. I don't know that is going to keep the rest of the talent interested in staying there, and I don't know if you can have a wrestling organization with 10 top-tier guys from the 80s and 90s. I'm gonna see a lot of other superstars like Christopher Daniels, like AJ Styles. I think guys of that caliber, great athletes who are just going to become disinterested in their own company and maybe look elsewhere for work. If Ring of Honor Wrestling keeps its head above water, that would be a great place for a lot of those guys to return to, because they did TNA and Ring of Honor did have a relationship in the past. Or even a lot of these guys are thinking about going to the WWE, and WWE is interested in signing some of these younger superstars now. So it's definitely going to make the program different. I think is TNA Wrestling going to make a change? Yes, absolutely. I think that answer to that question is yes. It's not going to look the same 2, 3, 4 months down the road as it does right now. Will it be something that we want to watch? I don't know.
Okay. Very good. Let's move on. We're going to play another little ESPN-style rip-off game. We're going to play a little toss-up.
Excellent.
So let's get right into it. First one, toss-up. Who gets the Slammy Award for Superstar of the Year? John Cena or Randy Orton?
John Cena or Randy Orton? I think honestly, if you look at the work ethic of the superstars and who's carried the company on their shoulder for the last year, I think it's obviously Orton. He's been the champion. He's been the most entertaining superstar on the program. By the program, I mean Raw. If you're looking at someone who I think they're going to probably rejuvenate into 2010 and give them a push for the future, I think they're going to probably give that to John Cena. The problem with that is I don't think Cena has done much of anything in the last 8-9 months. So I would have to say definitely Randy Orton, and I think that's going to be fuel for his fire for storylines and different angles they're going to do in the future, where he is going to be the superstar of the year, and he's going to demand respect from everybody on the roster. And no one will give it to him, and he'll beat all their asses down.
So you say Randy Orton gets the
yeah,
second.
my guess would be
Okay,
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton is the superstar of the year. Last year they got this right. It was kind of a tough decision. They gave it to Jericho, and it was the best decision. His feud with Shawn Michaels and the way that he won that and came out on the top. He had the belt. He was the good pick. This year I don't think they get it right. I think they give it to John Cena. I don't see the right thing happening here. I think it's going to go to Cena.
Fair enough.
Okay, toss up. Who has had a better 2009, The Miz or John Morrison?
This is a tough one for me. I have always been a huge fan of John Morrison, as a heel, mind you. He's now taken on a face role on SmackDown. He is the Intercontinental Champion, and he is, without a doubt, if we're comparing wrestling ability, John Morrison is leagues above The Miz. Make no mistake about that. The Miz, who's always kind of taken a back seat to Morrison, if you take a look at him and what he's done on Raw, he's recently captured the United States Championship, but he has had a storied history with John Cena and run-ins with many other superstars, and he is just gold on the mic, in my opinion, and the fans really hate him, which is sometimes really hard for a heel to get, is true heat from the fans.
Hatred.
And he's got it. And even though he has just become the champion, if we're looking at mic skills and potential in the future versus what they've already done in pure wrestling ability, I mean, if that's what we're kind of taking The Miz and Morrison against each other, I think that The Miz is ultimately going to be more successful probably this coming year than John Morrison is going to be. I think, will we see John Morrison as a world champion in 2 or 3 years? Probably. I think he's probably going to have the longer standing tenure in the company and eventually become a world champion. If you're talking about just 2009, I think definitely John Morrison has had a better 2009. He has had a lot of good rivalries. He won that Intercontinental Championship. He's being very successful as a face on SmackDown. I think it would have to go to Morrison, but no discredit to The Miz whatsoever. He is at the top of his game right now.
Okay. John Morrison is the better superstar. They were a tag team together for a year and a half, 2 years, and John Morrison pretty much carried the team.
Absolutely.
But The Miz has had a better 2009, and this is why. He went on Raw, the bigger show. He got right in the face with the biggest guy in the yard, John Cena.
Yep.
Feuded with him for a little bit. Didn't really pan out for him, but he did go on to win the United States Championship. And honestly, I feel that the Intercontinental title was just kind of dropped onto Morrison because they weren't ready to give it to Dolph Ziggler or anybody else. Morrison was a safe bet because he is a great superstar.
Yeah.
Former Intercontinental Champion, now 2-time IC champion, former ECW champion, multiple-time tag team champion. Both these guys are Slammy Award winners from last year. But I think that you may forget about the fact that in the last pay-per-view, Brand Wars, The Miz did even beat John Morrison.
Yep.
So that's just another notch in his belt. I'm going with The Miz on this.
Okay.
Right.
Excellent. We agree on that. I have to ask this. Do you see John Morrison, like I also commented, having a longer tenure with the WWE and eventually potentially becoming a world champion? Do you see The Miz feuding with him maybe for a world title in the future? Or which one of these guys do you see as a potential world champion 3-4 years
A big thing that can happen when the fans grow this passionate hatred for people, kind of like they have towards Legacy. When Legacy turns face, they're going to blow up.
Yeah.
The Miz could become so over with the fans that if he turns face, that could be something that he does for the next couple of years and could surpass John Morrison eventually. But John Morrison has more in-ring ability. They both have good mic skills. It's a tough call.
I guess we'll have to come back to this one at some point. It's
Absolutely.
definitely up in the air.